Hey everybody, Stephanie here with the Machine Gun Nest with today's legal update. So you might be wondering why you're hearing so much about ghost guns in the news recently, and I'm here to tell you why. So before I even dive into it, I'm going to answer that question and let you know that the Biden administration, their polling has been so abysmal consistently across the board that they're essentially trying to set this man up for some kind of win. And so we've seen from our sources, we have really great sources, and you can even query this for yourself, that the term ghost gun is being searched like crazy. The term is appearing in the media like crazy when it wasn't before. So all they're doing is stirring up some kind of narrative so that the Biden administration can do something about it and go to bed at night and everybody feeling like they're the winners and pat themselves on the back for doing something about it, even though that we know that it's just a big joke. So with that being said, what is a ghost gun and what is going on? So a ghost gun is basically a term that the left has created for a self-manufactured firearm. People have been able to manufacture their own firearms since the dawn of time, since the beginning of our nation. You've been able to create your own firearm. Now you are precluded from this if you are not legally allowed to own a firearm in the first place. And if you want to transfer said self-manufactured firearm, you still would have to abide by all your state and federal laws to do so, which would include serializing that firearm. So sometimes we get asked, well, a lack of a serial number, doesn't that make it scarier? Does that somehow make it more deadly? And the answer is simply no. We know that whether your car has a VIN number on it or not, or whether your car is registered or not, has no bearing upon whether someone's going to drunkenly drive that vehicle or use that vehicle or steal it to do something bad with. So we know that at the end of the day, just prosecuting current laws on the books are more important than trying to add more arbitrary laws. But like we said, this isn't about actually prosecuting crime or reducing gun violence. This is just a manufactured crisis to give Biden a win, because we know right now he is just floundering and starving for any type of victory whatsoever. What's been going on? So here in the state of Maryland, and we're going to see this reflected federally also, we've seen the passage of Senate Bill 387. I want to read you some pieces from this bill, because what we're seeing happen is just what's happening in our nation at large, which is we are essentially living in an epistemological clown show where nothing has any meaning anymore, and the subjective realities are trickling down into every sector of our freedoms, and we're living in a world of nonsense, and it just results in tyranny. So listen to this. This is page 2 of SB 387. You can look this up yourself. They are defining a firearm as an unfinished frame or receiver. Crazy. So unfinished frame or receiver. So essentially a piece of plastic or a piece of metal. Like, what does unfinished mean? What degree of unfinished? And now I'm going to skip forward to page 5. Now listen to this. This is what's scary too. This is line 12 here on page 5. A person may not purchase, receive, sell, offer to sell, or transfer an unfinished frame or receiver, because remember, they're calling that a firearm now, unless it's required by federal law to be and has been imprinted by a serial number by a federally licensed firearms manufacturer or federally licensed firearm importer in compliance with all federal laws and regulations applicable to the manufacture and import of firearms. So what they're saying is this. You essentially can have a block of material, right? And it can be vaguely in the shape of a firearm. And a manufacturer or FFL has to be the one to serialize that, to then transfer, give that away, do anything. Now, what's interesting is the company Polymer80 has been given a letter by the ATF saying that their product, which is an 80% receiver out of polymer, does not fit their legal definition of firearm. But now the game is changing and they're saying, wait a second, that is a firearm. Well, okay, could they then take it back to 79%? What is 79% complete? How about 78%? What is this leading to? All of this reminds me of that painting called The Treachery of Images. And if you haven't seen it, it's just a painting of a pipe, but underneath written in French says, this is not a pipe. This is the crazy world that we're living in, is we're taking an object and calling it something that it completely isn't in order to just enforce tyranny. That's just all this is. We're living in a world of what is a woman? Well, what is a gun? So typically, self self-manufacturing has been done by those who are really intense hobbyists. Now, we do see ghost guns popping up in some crime, but it's really irrelevant. Going after this issue is just to give the Biden administration a win, and this isn't something that's actually going to move the needle whatsoever. I will be the first one to say, as a manufacturer, as a dealer, as somebody on this YouTube channel, you know I am passionate about the Second Amendment, and I want to see trained and armed citizens bearing arms, as is our God-given right to do so, and I want to see a reduction in gun crime, obviously. And if statistics proved that some of these measures might work, you bet I'd be all for whatever would be necessary to honor our God-given right while reducing gun violence, but none of these things actually do that. And that's what's so upsetting to me about this, is that it's all token, and that's what we're seeing here with the Biden administration right now. The media is just drumming this up. It's all manufactured just to give this loser of a man some kind of win because he's so absolutely desperate for it. Now, we've seen this again. We have a video, and we're going to share the link for it. What's going on with suppressors requiring a Form 1 and the solvent traps. I'm not going to get into the details of it here. Definitely click the video. But again, the ATF is developing a pattern of calling one object something that it just objectively isn't. And again, we're going to link another video where we talked about forced reset triggers being called machine guns when that doesn't even fit the ATF's very own definition of what a machine gun is. And this is very alarming. So whether you're a casual gun owner, maybe you just own a shotgun for self-defense in your home, maybe you just are now getting into the world of firearms, you don't need to be an avid shooter to see that these infringements soon will be knocking on your door. We're going to keep you updated as more of this develops, and please plug in and get involved. And if you haven't clicked subscribe yet, please do.